By the fall of 1944, the USS Tang submarine had accumulated one of the best records in the U.S. Navy, sinking dozens of Japanese ships across the Pacific. But although the vessel had a promising career and one of the most renowned and notorious commanders in the entire theater, Tang's run suddenly came to an unfortunate end when it sank due to its own errant torpedo. USS Tang. USS Tang was a Palau-class diesel-electric submarine with a crew of up to 10 officers and 80 enlisted men. With 120 boats, the Palau was one of the largest submarine classes within the U.S. Navy. After being built at Mare Island Naval Shipyard in California, USS Tang first sailed in the summer of 1943, launched and commissioned in the fall. By the time Richard H. O'Kane was appointed as the ship's commander, the lieutenant was already one of the most well-known submariners in the Navy. During his tenure as executive officer of USS Wahoo, under the command of the legendary Dudley "Mush" Morton, O'Kane played a central role in the Gato-class submarine's early achievements, serving on 5 successful war patrols. After the vessel completed fitting out at Mare Island, she moved south to San Diego, California for 18 days of training exercises before sailing to the Pacific Theater. Tang finally arrived at Pearl Harbor on January 8, 1944, where she prepared for combat for 2 more weeks. Although there were only 2 more years left in the war, USS Tang would become top of the class and have the best record of any U.S. Navy submarine. Promising career. Commander O'Kane resumed his winning ways as he took command of USS Tang. On his first ever war patrol around the Mariana and Caroline Islands, beginning on January 22, 1944, Tang's crew was credited with sinking 6 Japanese ships with an outstanding 18,000 tons worth of shipping materials. After taking down the enemy with its 24 torpedoes and scoring 16 hits, the submarine then arrived at Midway Base for a refit. Her second war patrol took place around Palau in the Philippine Sea and the Japanese naval bases in the Truk Islands. And although she did not sink any enemy ships, the submarine rescued 22 Navy airmen who had previously been shot down during an attack. Her third war patrol was in the Yellow and East China Seas, and it became one of the most devastating American submarine deployments against Imperial Japan shipping lanes during World War II. While there, Tang wreaked havoc on shipping vessels between the Asian mainland and Japan. In only one day, on June 24, 1944, Tang sank the Japanese ships Tamahoku Maru, Tainan Maru, Nasusan Maru, and Kenichi Maru, and during the entire patrol, Tang sank 39,160 tons of enemy resources. Now a seasoned and successful veteran at the seas, Tang was ordered to sail to the island of Honshu to operate directly off the Japanese coast. During the submarine's 4th patrol on August 11th, Tang spotted 2 enemy freighters and 2 escorts. The crew then launched 3 torpedoes at the larger freight vessel and 2 more at another ship. The large freighter exploded immediately after her boilers were hit by the underwater missile. After launching the attack, Tang went deeper into the water, and after 38 minutes of depth charges, it resurfaced back to periscope level. Only 2 escorts were around now, and 1 was rescuing survivors. Days later, on August 14th, Tang continued her relentless attacks, sinking a Japanese patrol yacht boat and a 225-foot patrol boat a week later. On August 23rd, Tang fired 3 torpedoes at an enemy ship, where the crew spotted white uniforms on its superstructure. The hits sent the 8,135-ton transport Tsikushi Maru to her grave. The patrol ended 2 days later when the submarine sank an enemy tanker and an escort. Fifth Patrol. Despite her impressive track record during the first 4 patrols, USS Tang would soon meet an untimely end, and the story of Tang's final patrol would be recounted in Commander O'Kane's official report. During her 5th patrol, the submarine refueled in Midway and set sail for the Taiwan Strait on September 27th. This was a vital shipping route connecting Japan to the rest of the empire. In order to reach the strait, the submarine had to pass through narrow waters heavily patrolled by the Japanese Navy, and the area was believed to be heavily mined. O'Kane was given a choice to either go through the passage independently or join a coordinated attack group with the USS Silversides, Trigger, and Salmon submarines, commanded by John S. Coy Jr. Despite the apparent dangers, Lieutenant Commander O'Kane chose to make the passage alone. The other submarines would never hear from Tang again after she left Midway. The 5th Patrol actually began with several triumphs. On October 10th, the submarine sank 2 cargo ships, and almost 2 weeks later, Tang spotted a 5-ship convoy with several destroyer escorts. In a daring attack, Tang charged into the convoy, firing torpedoes in all possible directions and sinking and damaging many ships. 2 of the Japanese vessels tried to ram the submarine, but they collided with each other after the Tang's crew conducted impressive evasive maneuvers. As the American submarine began to withdraw, she fired 4 more torpedoes from her stern that finally sank both enemy ships. The following morning, Tang spotted another large convoy, and the crew decided to shadow the ships until the sky went dark and they could begin their final attack. Tang then spotted her targets: a large 3-deck vessel, a smaller transport ship, and a big tanker, and launched torpedoes at them, blowing up the tanker and hitting the transport. As the American submarine tried to escape the enemy fire, a destroyer headed towards her. However, the approaching foe was hit with 2 torpedoes a few seconds later. With only 2 remaining torpedoes, Tang headed towards the stricken destroyer to finish it off. The first deployed torpedo headed straight for the transport. Tang then launched what would become her last Mark 18 electric torpedo, an American copy of the problematic German G-7E missile that was plagued with issues and malfunctions. The second torpedo eventually surfaced and curved to the left in a circular run heading back, straight for Tang. When O'Kane realized the torpedo was heading towards them, the commander immediately ordered the crew to accelerate at full emergency power to try and get ahead of the incoming weapon. However, it was too late. The missile's 570-pound warhead hit the empty aft torpedo room and detonated without mercy. Half of the 87-man crew perished instantly. Tang's rear compartment soon began to flood, and her stern section finally gave up. The submarine was longer than the water was deep, and as she went down, the buoyancy of the unflooded rooms kept the bow above the water. Out of the 9 men on the bridge, only 3 were able to reach the surface by swimming. Tang eventually sank and hit the seafloor 180 feet below. 30 men remained trapped in the forward torpedo room and went on to burn sensitive documents, even enduring a Japanese attack before attempting their escape. The sinking of Tang was the first time that sailors managed to escape by using the Momsen lung, a rudimentary personal underwater rebreather. Out of the 13 sailors that managed to leave the forward torpedo room, 8 swam safely to the surface, but only 5 survived. By the time the last man had exited the room, the heat from the battery fire was so intense that the paint job on the bulkhead was scorching, melting, and running down. Meanwhile, another survivor escaped the conning tower and used his pants as a flotation device. Tang lost 78 crewmen, over 85% of her crew. The actual cause of the missile's malfunction has never been officially established and will likely remain unknown forever. On Eternal Patrol. On the morning of October 25th, 9 sailors, including Commander O'Kane, were spotted and picked up by a Japanese frigate ship that was already carrying the survivors of the vessel that Tang had attacked the night before. The enraged Japanese sailors immediately charged at the captured Americans. According to Commander O'Kane's official report of the incident, quote, "When we realized that our clubbing and kickings were being administered by the burned, mutilated survivors of our handiwork, we found we could take it with less prejudice." The defeated survivors were taken to the Ofuno war camp on Honshu and put into solitary confinement, where they were battered and interrogated by Japanese intelligence. They stayed there as prisoners of war for the remainder of the conflict. Ultimately, Tang is credited with having sunk 33 enemy ships, totaling 116,454 tons of material sent to the bottom of the ocean, and making it the most successful U.S. Navy submarine in history because of this. She would eventually receive 4 battle stars and 2 Presidential Unit citations for the crew's brave service before the submarine's untimely end. By then, Richard O'Kane was regarded as a legendary commanding officer and received the Medal of Honor for his performance on Tang's final patrol. Bill Leibold, Tang's former chief boatswain's mate and one of the submarine's survivors, recalled his experiences for the National World War II Museum. To him, Tang was a legendary submarine and performed exceedingly well until her unfortunate sinking. Quote, "That last run, all in all, it was a pretty successful run, except for the final loss. That was us." Thank you for watching our Dark Seas video. Before you go, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to all our 8 channels for more documentary-style videos. And also hit the bell icon to be notified of our newest content.